Welcome to another episode of the Autograph Weekly podcast where we talk about everything autograph related. This week, we're going to be talking about the Winona Ryder signing recently announced by Star Wars Autograph Universe. We're also going to be delving into their VIP program and how that might benefit you. Next, we're going to jump into Love and Death, a new series by HBO that a couple of my friends and I got to be on set for the production. We even got to ask Elizabeth Olsen for an autograph, and I'll go into detail on exactly how that went down. We're going to close out by showing off a couple of items from our collection. So stay tuned. It's going to be a fun, interesting podcast. We've got a lot of new information to share. First up is the Winona Ryder signing. And you guys know Winona Ryder, she's like a white whale when it comes to autograph collecting. Like there's some people who just are known for never signing autographs. And Winona Ryder is definitely one of those people. Like if you meet her on the street, refuses to sign oftentimes, has never done a private signing before, at least not a successful one. We can get into that in a little bit. But what do you guys know of her signing habits and what Winona Ryder is like when it comes to autographs?
So I personally don't know too much about Winona personally. I know I've never ever seen her autograph, so I have no idea what it looks like. So when you talk about her being a white whale, 100% believe it, just because I've seen a pretty good fair share of this and that, including historical items, but never Winona Ryder. So it's interesting to see, and I'm curious how much she's going to cost.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're, no fault on that one because her autograph is like super rare and like it really doesn't come up very often. And if you go onto eBay right now, there's not like a whole lot of examples, and anything that's like authentic on there right now is currently going for about $1,500 or more. And like the quality of the items is not that great, honestly. Like you have some cuts, you have some smaller like 8x10 photos. There's like nothing spectacular, not like the stuff that's going to be sent into the signing. Because people are going to be sending in high quality items like movie posters, like large format photos, props, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, what we have on the market is not, it's going to be a totally different market after the signing. It's going to be a different world for her autograph. And right now, they haven't announced the pricing on her yet. But we do know that if we look back at the Celebrity Authentics signing that was conducted a couple of years ago, well, it wasn't even conducted. So it was in the first quarter of 2017, they were planning on having the signing, right? They announced it. They took pre-orders, people got their money in, and it just got delayed and delayed and delayed until I think in like 2020, ultimately they kind of blamed it on COVID and canceled the signing altogether, gave refunds back. And then that's about it. Nothing was heard since then until now when the newest signing was announced. So she has, as of yet, not actually sat down to do an autograph signing for fans. But at that point, I pulled up this old post from Facebook from Twin City Comics, who was partnering with Celebrity Authentics. And actually, I was kind of surprised at the price because, given what I just said, that her autograph is going for about $1,500 right now on the market. It looks like they're only charging about $300 for a CGC comic, and that included the CGC fees and the autograph signing. So they were charging, essentially sub $300 for autograph. And that's a pretty good deal, I think. And especially if you look at another Star Wars Autograph Universe signing for Natalie Portman, she was like another white whale, right? She was one of these people who did not want to sign, especially Star Wars items, like basically straight up refused to sign Star Wars items. And then Star Wars Autograph Universe comes around, they snag her for the signing, and they have her at a price point for $550. And that was only about 2 years ago or so. So I think if we use her current market value, right, and we go off of what Star Wars Art of Universe was charging for Natalie Portman, I would expect to see her at least at $550 or above.
100%. Well, especially because that Twin City price, that was before inflation pandemic times. So you factor that in because, businesses got to use that as an excuse to increase those prices. And then the overall market, it seems like, for all celebrities at Comic Cons and such going up in price. So I'm guessing $600.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking around the same because just like you said, there's nobody else that will give a lower price. That's a big white whale name, especially in Natalie Portman. Like you said, 500. So I can see Winona easily going for 500. And on eBay, there's like hardly anything. Even Beckett, there's only 4 items on eBay, and none of them are signed by just her. They're all multi-signed.
Yeah. So I think we're definitely gonna see 550, and I think that's gonna be or $550 or more. And if it's around that $500 range, I still think that's like a really good deal considering her current market value and how rare her autograph is. So yeah, that's a good thing. So now the question is the same thing going to happen with the Star Wars Autograph Universe as it did with Celebrity Authentics? Is this signing actually going to happen? So, I mean, it's not guaranteed. Obviously, we saw that it did get canceled once, and that kind of thing does happen. Like in this case, COVID-19 was cited, but other things like, movie productions can get in the way of scheduling and that kind of thing. So autograph signings do get postponed sometimes or even outright canceled. And, Star Wars Autograph Universe themselves are not immune to this. Nick, I know that you're currently waiting on their Pedro Pascal signing. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that one?
Yeah, 100%. So there was no, of course, date at the time of sign up, but we are approaching at this point about 2 years now since that initial signing. Sales did happen. It did sell out within the first couple of weeks, I believe within the first month. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where I'm a person who, if I am into something like this, I want updates and such like that. And after 2 years, there is still no date that's been set, quote unquote, being talked to and discussed. But overall, it's been a very negative experience. You can't ask these questions in a group without them telling you, hey, we canceled your order, refunded you, and not tell you anything else beyond that. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get my item, etc. Like, there is no service if you're looking for those updates when it comes to these signings.
Yeah, it is kind of like a black box, right? You don't really know what's going on. They kind of keep what's going on with the celebrity pretty hush-hush. I mean, I imagine that the celebrity themselves don't want their schedules being known and all that. So I imagine that's partly out of their control. But when they announced the Pedro Pascal signing, it came on the heels of another Pedro Pascal signing. I think like the signing completed, then maybe within like the same month, they announced that second one. So, and the first one went off without a flaw, went perfectly, no problem there. So I'm sure you went into it with an expectation like, yeah, this is probably gonna go pretty similar. Gonna get my item turned around pretty quick. And then, you just sit there twiddling your thumbs for 2 years and you're still waiting. So you really never know how quick these things are gonna happen, which if it's just with the actor on one item and that's the only signature on there, cool. But like, let's say you're trying to get a cast piece. If you're sending your item out to get a cast member and you want to like continue adding on to that, do some other cast members and stuff there. And it's a real bummer when like you have a convention in your town and like a key actor is in your town right next door and your poster somewhere else because someone's been hanging on to it for 2 years or something. So that's definitely a consideration when you're participating in these kind of signings. And if you can ever have the chance to get your stuff done in person, you get it there, you get it signed, and then you take it home, that's like the best. So you really got to kind of do a cost benefit analysis. Like, is it worth it having someone else take care of all the logistics and all that, and just potentially having to wait around for maybe years even to get your stuff back? Or should I just wait for someone to come around my town? Like if we're here in San Antonio, there's a lot of big conventions here in the city or in the surrounding areas. I can imagine if someone's a little bit more rural, they don't have that kind of access to big conventions, that might weigh more in favor of doing like a send-in, that kind of thing. But for me, like I kind of shy away from doing the sendings. I'd rather just wait for somebody to come around town, because if they're anywhere in Texas, I'm happy to drive the 5+ hours, in which are like 30 to 5 hours to get to the place. It's fine. So
I don't think she'll be as long just because Pedro's like crazy busy. I see him being crazy busy. I know Chris Hemsworth took a while, but I think he had a crazy schedule before he stopped filming as well. So I think like now that he's not going to film, he's starting, I believe he started another one with Official Picks as well, signing with them. And Celebrity Authentic is having the same issue with Bill Skarsgård. I believe they've delayed it almost 2 years too. But it's just he keeps changing his schedule over and over and over. And I have a couple of friends that are just waiting. And every time they say they'll push it back to next quarter and next quarter. So I believe they have an official date now. I'm not sure what it is, but supposedly it'll happen this year now. But that's another one that's been big signer that's busy filming a lot, and they're just not signing at all, even though they already, everyone sent in their items. Other people are waiting get their item signed by him and everything, and all the other cast members. And just like Nick, they can't add anyone else because it's just stuck.
I think that's kind of maybe the nature of the beast. Like before, like when we all started collecting autographs, like these like huge celebrities like didn't really sign autographs at like send in signing or that kind of thing. Like this whole thing didn't exist. Like when we first started, maybe 10 plus years back, it was more like B-list type celebrities that were doing conventions and that kind of thing, or people who maybe were like an A-list celebrity 2 decades ago and now they're kind of out of the limelight, that kind of thing. So their schedules weren't like as packed. But now that there's really, the sky's the limit when it comes to doing these celebrity signings, and there's no celebrity that's really out of reach. It would seem like everybody is jumping on board doing these signings. So when you're going after this A-list talent, I mean, I can imagine that, yeah, it's pretty hard to schedule these signings in when you've got movie stars who are doing, production after production. Like Winona Ryder, like she's been around for a long time, but she's got her fingers in a lot of stuff still. I think she's doing Stranger Things is filming right now, the final season there. And then they got the sequel to Beetlejuice. So, I mean, that's at least 2 things that she's got going on right now at this moment. So,
and I think she just finished the Haunted Mansion as well.
Yeah. So she's got a ton of stuff going on. So, yeah, I mean, when you're going after these A-list celebrities, it is going to be hard doing all the scheduling and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, luckily, companies like Star Wars Autograph Universe, like they can get the stuff done like in a day. So if they can just get a day to get it done, they get everybody in a room, they have like an assembly line process, like they get the stuff done pretty quickly. As long as the celebrity is willing to tolerate that, they can get it done. So hopefully we won't see a delay on this like we've seen with Pedro Pascal or with her in the past from other vendors. For her orders, if you want to buy one, her orders do go live on Monday, May 1st. So you're going to want to be on there at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And if you are a Star Wars Autograph Universe VIP member, then you're going to have pre-sale access starting at 11. So did want to kind of transition into and talk a little bit about what the Star Wars VIP program is. It's a relatively new program. I think it's been in since August 2022 is when they actually debuted it. And what they did was they opened it up to an initial cohort of like 200 people. They were opening it up at a price point of $49 a month, and it allowed you to do like a whole bunch of extra perks and benefits. One of those being like early purchasing for signings like this Winona Ryder one and all of their other stuff. And whether you think it's worth it or not, clearly a lot of the their customers think it is, because it sold out like basically instantly at the $49 price point. And they have since raised up the subscription fee to $120 a month, and it's currently sold out right now. So there's like a cap on how many people are letting into this program, and it's currently sold out. So there's clearly demand for it. People are asking for it. So a lot of people think that it's good. But I would say as a regular average collector, it's probably not something that's going to really benefit you. At $120 a month, that's a really steep price point. That's like I think what they're aiming at is professionals, people who are working in the industry, somebody who is, owns like an autograph shop or like does regular conventions and sells at a vendor booth, that kind of thing, because they offer some pretty good perks for people like that. So the first benefit there is the exclusive pre-sale access. So you get in like an hour early or whatever, which is nice. That's kind of beneficial for everybody. It's more geared to the average consumer, but they also do some exclusive autograph signings and send-ins, which I think so far have only maybe been like, like ILMers and stuff, like people who work in the background of the Star Wars films, that kind of thing. Exclusive image options, which, that's fine. I mean, I don't think that's really something that you would want to pay for, getting some additional images. But yeah, that's cool. Whatever, additional perk there. But I think where the program shines, they are offering free autograph verifications. So This is really good because it's basically using like the Beckett quick opinion type system where you send them an image and they're saying, yeah, that's good or not, like likely to pass authentication or not, that kind of thing. So it's not like you're actually sending in your item, as far as I know, and getting a sticker on there and actually getting like a certificate, all that kind of stuff. You're basically just getting like a a visual inspection, thumbs up, thumbs down, this is good or not, which, you know, could be very valuable, especially if you got like a large collection like me, especially if you're a through the mail collector who actually didn't see the stuff get signed in front of you. Like I could see myself benefiting from that, just like bombarding them with a huge portfolio of photos and getting some opinions on that. That would be incredibly valuable to me, because actually getting a sticker on those things saying that they were signed or not by a third-party authenticator would be prohibitively expensive. So there's a lot of value there.
And I also like using it more than Beckett's because they have a lot faster turnaround time with their responses as well.
Mm-hmm.
And my average is honestly like same day once I send something. So usually if I'm looking at something on eBay, I'm not sure, I'll screenshot it, submit it, and I'll get it back the same day, sometimes a couple hours or less. And I believe Pete does them or did them. I'm not sure there. But I know Pete would review a lot of those too.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still, what his current involvement is, but yeah, I do remember when they first kicked those off, like he was definitely heavily involved in that for sure. And then they also offer additional services. They have custom framing options there, so you get a 10% discount on custom framing, 20% discount on their existing inventory, like all the stuff that they have already signed previously that's up on their shop. You get 20% off on that, which can be a pretty significant discount given some of the prices of the stuff there. And 30% on Star Wars Autograph Universe merch. So if you want to buy a t-shirt with their logo on it, that's fine. And then 40% discount on autograph services. So these are like grading and appraisals, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think this is like a really good service if you are somebody who is actively selling a lot of stuff. Like you're going to be already spending a lot of money on grading and encapsulations, that kind of stuff, and autograph verifications. So if you can get these 40% discounts or free authentications, then you're really going to be saving a lot of money, and it's definitely going to be worth the $120 price tag. But if you're just like a casual collector, I kind of struggle to see the value there. But you know, it's kind of like a moot point because, like I said, they're sold out. So even if you want to join the program or not, currently they're not open for more people to apply. So you'd have to wait for them to open up the program to more slots. And I guess one final perk of that is that they do have an exclusive VIP club, which I think is just basically a Facebook group, kind of like a mastermind group where you can join and you can bounce ideas off of other collectors. Everyone who is in the group has paid up and they're in the VIP club. So I imagine it's probably a more self-selecting group of more experienced hardcore collectors in there, which would be, which would be cool. Probably a good community in there. I've never been in the club myself, so I couldn't really comment exactly on, the caliber of the VIP Facebook group or anything like that. But I can see definitely for the right kind of autograph collector, there's some really cool stuff there. I did want to talk about Love and Death and my experience with the show, right? So Nick and I, we both went out to see some of the filming and try and get Elizabeth Olsen's autograph. It was a journey that I felt kind of proud of because we kind of went out there with very little information, and we managed to like go throughout Texas on this road trip to track down the Love and Death production. It was pretty fun. But we basically had some seed information. I'm a through the mail autograph collector, so I write basically fan mail to celebrities while they're on set of a movie or a TV production, and I basically request an autograph from them. And because of that, I'm always abreast of the current productions that are going on. And I happened to see that there's this production, Love and Death, starring Elizabeth Olsen, Kristen Ritter, Jesse Plemons, and some other big names. And we're in San Antonio, and I was seeing this is going to be happening in Austin, which is about an hour and a half north of us. So I said, and like, there's not a whole lot of productions that happen here, unfortunately. You get like, we had Fear the Walking Dead, which is now not even here anymore. That went back to Georgia. And you have a couple of things up in Dallas and the occasional movie, but like, there's not a whole lot of stuff here in Texas, unfortunately. And like, even for the Love and Death production, they had to like truck in like these big, massive trucks that they brought in all the way from Georgia. So there is like some infrastructure here because Robert Rodriguez, he has his studio in Austin. So, they definitely make shows and films. Like Walker is something that's filmed here. But there's not a whole lot of stuff. But anyway, so we see this production. It's happening in Austin. We have a little bit of a head start on it. We know that it's coming up, so we kind of plan on going out there. And I have the address for the sound stage, the production studio there, and that was in Kyle, which is like it's a little bit south of Austin. But this is where they are going to be building all of the sets, like all of the indoor shots and that kind of stuff are all filmed on the sound stage. So Nick and I, we woke up really early on one of the days that when they just kind of initially had started production. They were like within the first week of production. And we went out there, and it was like, this is the height of COVID. So there was like a lot of precautions, but we went into the front door. And
literally,
there's a guy with a table there. He's like, doing some COVID screenings, checking people in. And we're just like on like a fishing expedition, trying to get some information on where they might be filming, because we want to go and meet Elizabeth Olsen, see her in person. After some finessing and sweet talking, we did kind of get some good information out of him. And he told us that it was going to be in Lockhart, Texas. They were like, yeah, I think they're filming in Lockhart. So we're like, okay, bet. So we got in our car and we drove there. It was probably like, I don't know, an hour away from there. But we got in there, and we're just like, all right, so just keep your eyes peeled for a production, I guess. And
this is my first excursion. I've never seen a production really going on. So it's just like, what do you look for? But then you start seeing those signs, these little signs all over of these little landmarks that indicate them.
Yeah, well, we got like tripped up because there was like an actual production going on there, because they were filming Fear the Walking Dead, right? So we hung out there for a little while, and we were like, all right, this is it, right? I think. And like,
we're seeing the name on the trailer at this point.
Yeah.
We're like, this has to be it.
Yeah. So we hung out there, we watched, and then like eventually they start like opening up the backs of these big trucks and start pulling out like zombie corpses, and we're like,
oh wait a minute,
something doesn't seem right here. This is probably not it. So like they didn't really want to tell us what production they were doing, because they were, trying to be hush secret. And we're like, well, we're trying to be here for love and death. And they're like, eventually they threw us a bone, and they're like, nah, that's not us. Go somewhere else. But I think they were filming yesterday over there. So we went over there, and it was this little outdoor diner type thing called Little Charlie's. And it turned out they were filming there. There's a lot of scenes on the show filmed there where Elizabeth Olsen and Jesse Plemons meet up and kind of plan their rendezvous. We got there, and we saw that no one was there anymore, but some of the set pieces, like the set decorations, they had like landscaping stuff that were like in pots, and they were just there's some landscaping guys there who were kind of breaking down the set and just taking everything back. So we're like, well, we're pretty much at a dead end now, but we got to the landscaping guy, and we're trying to like, again, on the fishing expedition, trying to find out like where we need to go, like
the whole thing
where we could possibly find these people. And eventually, we kind of got it out of him that he was thinking that they were going to be in Hutto. And so we're like, all right, well, let's go there. Like, we were kind of like a little bit depressed at this point. Like, oh, I think we just missed them.
It by a day. Missed it by a day.
Yeah, we were so close, but no cigar at that point. So we're like, whatever. We're all the way out here. Let's just go to Hutto. We'll see what's up. And we drive all around town. And then like, there's nothing in town. Like, it's a pretty small town. So we canvassed the whole place. There was nothing. There was like one road like leading off into the distance, like just into farms and cornfields and stuff. So we're like, oh, we'll go down here. And we were driving for like 10-15 minutes. And then like, we're like, all right, I think we're ready to throw in the towel.
We're right there. We're like,
we drive up the crest of a hill, and then like, boom, there it is. That's where they were staging all of their production stuff. There's all the trailers and everything. So we knew we were in the right place. We're like, all right, we finally found it. And they have these like these signs, this love and death sign with the heart and the skull on there. So we're like, all right, 100%, this is it. Like, we found the right place. And we basically went there. We kind of scoped it out. And that first day, like, we found where they were shooting. They were shooting at the church, which is like kind of central to the story. It's the main little church that's there. And we didn't see any of the main actors that day. So we just wound up calling it a day, and we decided we'd come back another day and try and figure it out. So on the second time we came back, they're still filming at the same location, and I just basically kind of wandered onto the set. I mean, there wasn't anything like any barricades or anything. It was just open road there. So I just kind of wandered onto the set, and there was Elizabeth Olsen, like just happened to finish filming a scene, and I basically just went up to her and asked. I had some photos at the ready. I asked her to sign it, and she was like, she thought it was like with the production at first, so she was like a little bit unsure like what it was for, and she was like moments away. She had my pen. She was moments away from signing my photo, and then one of the producers on the show kind of like took me to the side and escorted me off of the set. So, and this was like, it was again in the height of the pandemic, so all of the
just the tensions of human contact, really.
Yeah, like it was like a very secure type thing where they didn't want people coming in and spreading any kind of disease. Everyone on the set was vaccinated, all that kind of stuff. So having some weird guy on there was probably a little disconcerting from them. So that's fine. At least I got to talk to her a little bit, and I got to have that interaction. So that was cool. I suppose it would have been great if I had just like 2 seconds more.
Now I want to reflect, because the fact that there was hardly anything given, and you caught this moment. Although we can't show any signatures or anything. Hey, if Elizabeth Olsen's watching, that'd be great. But it was an adventure, and the fact that I've only, for instance, watched the first episode so far. I watch one episode a day to kind of space it out. But the fact that we saw all those sets like pretty much in the first episode, that's how early everything was in production, and being able to see it from the church to the diner and eventually the motel. But I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, and that was basically the whole autographing experience. But like I got a taste of like being on the set and experiencing what it was like, and it was just so cool, like seeing that kind of thing around here. So I decided that I was going to try and be an extra on the show, and I don't want to talk about this too long, but basically I roped my wife into it, and we basically sent in some headshots, and we got picked to be extras on the show. I had a nice mustache at the time, so this was like a show that's set in the late 70s, early 80s, so the big mustache was definitely came in clutch. But we went to 2 different shoots, and I was just basically, one day I was walking past some windows, and another day we were at a funeral scene, which is not a spoiler because the show is about a murder, so there's a funeral. And like we were, so far they've only done the first 3 episodes. My wife was in episode 2, just walking by a window, like if you blink you miss it, and I was in episode 3, very similar thing, just walking by a window, if you blink you miss it. So, but I think in the later episodes, when we're in the church and doing some other scenes, I think you're going to see some good shots of us. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But at least we've already made it for a split second into the series. So
gotta ask
Mr. Autograph.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Famous over here, if there's an opportunity, whether to sign in person or send in, would you get that still of your head in that window signed?
Yeah. I mean, I already went in there. I got the episode. I took a screenshot of the scene that I'm in. Like, it took some finessing to get that split microsecond.
Keep a lot of forwards and backwards on the.
But so I've got the screenshot. So if anyone wants an autograph, please hit me up.
And you look sharp in the church clothes too. So if you do come out in the church scenes, that would be an awesome one too.
I took a couple things with me. So this was part of my.
Oh, that's cool.
This is part of my orderly, because I was an orderly that day. So this was my name tag that day. You can see in one of the shots with Lily Raby, she's talking to a doctor. He's got like the same name tag as me. I mean, different name, obviously. I'll have to find it later, but I do have the program from the funeral, like they give you like a little program that's says the names of the people on there and stuff. So I have that. So I want to get that signed by Elizabeth Olsen for sure, and maybe some of the other people. Kristen Ritter.
Cool.
I don't know if I'll ever have the chance to see Elizabeth Olsen at a convention or anything like that. I mean, it's possible. It's definitely not out of their own possibility. I'd like to actually get it signed with her there, but I think next time they do a private signing, I might just send it in to the private signing for sure. All right. Now I wanted to move on to a little bit of a show and tell just to see what is new in our collections.
Oh, and then Katie Sackhoff being added to the San Antonio Comic Con as well.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
another
for
new,
sure. Yeah,
another
Katie
new
Sackhoff
name there.
a new edition also for sure.
Yeah, and I believe she's only Sunday, so it'll be a one-day thing.
And I think we all just saw her in Dallas last year, so she's not an infrequent guest. She comes around.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, so I got this book, a signed book, the Game Master Classified, and signed by Howard Phillips and Matthew Toronto right here. And basically, you guys are gamers, right?
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah. Did you guys ever subscribe to the Nintendo Power magazine back when it was still in publication?
I'm not that old, Tim.
No,
I didn't, but I've had used copies of it.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, it started off in like the 90s, and Howard Phillips was like a regular contributor to it. And they kind of like go over the history of the Nintendo Power magazine and Nintendo in general. So it's kind of like, a retro focus on the company. And they just released this new book. It just came out this week. I just got my copy. And they were doing a Kickstarter where you can get signed copies. So let me see. Nintendo Power is like kind of like one of those collectibles that's getting a lot of popularity. Like just this week, a 9.8 graded copy of Nintendo Power went for $108,000.
Oh, wow.
So these things are like definitely commanding a lot of value. So I think it's a really great time to look back at the history of the magazine. But yeah, so and also like this is the first issue of the magazine right here. And I've been kind of collecting autographs related to issue number 1, like the artist who did the clay sculpture for the cover, people who contributed to articles, that kind of stuff. So that's been a little bit of fun for me as a side project. What's new in your guys' collections?
I got my prop-wise, I got my Horn of Gondor. I'm going to actually try to drink wine out of it later tonight, see how that works.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, it's very hard to blow, but either way, I figured I would get it because if Sean B never signs again, it would be perfect for him to have a big white spot there. Just frame it up there with my Frodo poster. So I'm hoping awesome. He will. I believe he had official picks reached out to him before a couple times already, him and Vigo, and they both refused to. I know Sean Bean did a Comic-Con. That's where I got one of my posters signed that I don't have anymore, and they said he hated the experience. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's not gonna do it again. I want to say 2-3 years ago, they tried getting him to do signing with official picks, and that's when they rejected it. So maybe with the new Lord of the Rings movies that'll come out soon, they will. So
yeah, I think even if you have like a bad time at a con, like the money is so good now, it's kind of hard to refuse. Like, but I don't know, Nick.
And then all the price increases you can do now, it's a lot of easy money, like $200 extra just to write your inscription. They're easily doubling their money there.
Yeah, that's a mounting problem. All the add-ons that they're doing.
Yeah. So speaking of props, like you got in, for those that don't know, Sir Nick Justice here. So I'm always crafting on different things, especially things that people love to get signed, because I think props really display well and give a story. So I didn't show this before the show, but here's a before, freshly 3D printed Lando helmet, hardly any love given to it. And I'm on pretty much the final of this one here.
Big difference, huh?
Yeah, and a lot of work in between. So these are going to be added onto the collection, because essentially anybody who purchases a Lando helmet from me is pretty much part of this secret club where everybody gets it signed. So these are number 7 and 8. So it's a growing opportunity while we do still have Billy D. Williams to be able to get us signatures.
And not many.
Do you have any signings coming up?
I do believe he's going to be at a convention, at least 1 or 2 later this year. I know for certain. I think like within the next month or 2.
Yeah, I can't remember the details, but I'm pretty sure he has something coming up. So
Yeah, he definitely has cons.
Nice.
Yeah, I regret not getting him on a prop when he came over here too to San Antonio some years back. Especially because those really hold value from everything we've been seeing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like I think if you're going to be spending a lot of money on autograph, like it doesn't make sense anymore with the way the prices are going up to just get an 8x10. Certainly, if it's a table photo, like you got to do something quality now if you're going to get the bang for your buck.
So yeah, because with most celebrities, it's usually just cheaper just to buy them off eBay, buy them off one of the sales groups, and because the price is just not there. Like Billy Lee Williams, I mean, what was it? He was like less than $80. I know it was years back. That was like $80 when he came by. And even on eBay, you can find him for $100 easily sometimes. And I believe he's charging like
I think about 200, 250 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, at least if that's really hard to justify for like a send-in, at least if you're at the convention, you're meeting him in person, like, there's that. I mean, there's some value there if you haven't met him before. But yeah, it's tough when their asking price just is so far removed from what the actual market value is that they command. That's a tough call, but he is getting on in the years, and eventually when he passes, the price will go up. Like there'll be a mad rush for his autograph, just like there always is for any celebrity who passes. That's just kind of the way it goes. Like as soon as the celebrity's death is announced, you go onto eBay and like everybody's there. Everybody's there trying to get an autograph, trying to get something to remember them by.
So, Millie Bobby Brown's another one that her new signing price is a huge difference from her market value. I believe she was starting at 300. We saw it was about 300 starting price.
Wow.
Yeah, and they still sell her for $100. Even I believe this week I saw a couple people selling some on the groups for $100. So it's it has to be really worth it for you to want to send in something to get $300.
You got to be adding her to a poster that's already got a bunch of like cast signatures or a photo with other signatures, that kind of thing, or maybe like a really nice prop or statue, something like that, for sure. And then one kind of thing I did find interesting this week was this GameStop email that I got where McFarlane Toys has like this statue that they're giving out, but they are not giving out, but they're selling. And along with the purchase, you get this signed poster of Spawn. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting how basically you can get autographs everywhere now. Like they're so common that even GameStop is like getting into the autograph game, and not in the same way that other companies are, but like I'm not like surprised when I see some random vendor selling signed stuff anymore. Like autograph and autograph collecting is just so common now. Something that used to be kind of like you would say you're an autograph collector in the past, and people would be like, oh, that's a strange, weird hobby. But like now it's so mainstream now. It just kind of blows me away sometimes. Yeah. Well, anything else you guys have to add before we head out of here?
No, I believe Walmart might have been doing those too with one of the. I know there's a comic. I'll get more info for it for the next show, but I know Walmart even had an autographed McFarlane statue that they had on there as well.
Oh, nice.
It was for I want to say for the last Batman movie, with Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
So I mean, GameStop, Walmart, like nobody's off limits for selling autographs anymore. It's crazy. All right, dudes. Well, it's very good talking to you. Nick, where can everybody find you?
You can check me out on www.sirnickjustice.com or on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all that, at Sir Nick Justice.
And I'm Tim Santens. You can find me on talesfromthecollection.com or at Tales from the Collection. All right. Have a good one, guys.